Speak up.
Thank you, Chairman Larson, Chairman DeFazio, Ranking Member Graves, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to discuss the FAA's ongoing work to implement the provisions of the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018. Before I begin, I'd like to recognize our guests today, the family and friends of those who passed in the accidents in Indonesia and Ethiopia. It is in honor of their loved ones that we stay so intensely committed to improving safety. Although the Act authorized aviation programs for 5 years, the vast majority of the specific mandates require FAA action within the first year. We remain committed to completing the work you have given us, and I am pleased to report we have made substantial progress on fulfilling the mandates. I'll discuss accomplishments in several key areas, including aircraft certification, aviation safety, unmanned aircraft systems, and commercial space. The FAA's approach to aircraft certification has evolved over time in order to adapt to an ever-changing industry, with safety always paramount. Continuous improvement is an integral component of the FAA's safety culture, and we're committed to learning from our experiences and using what we've learned to improve our process. The 2018 Act furthers this work. As required in the reauthorization, Secretary Chow this summer established a 22-member Safety Oversight and Certification Advisory Committee to advise the Department on policy-level topics related to certification, including Organization Designation Authority, or ODA. The reauthorization also required the FAA to establish an ODA office within the Aviation Safety Organization to ensure consistency in ODA oversight functions throughout the agency. We formally established the ODA office in March. The 2018 Act requires the FAA to initiate 33 separate rulemakings in addition to creating new aviation rulemaking committees and expanding the work of the existing Aviation Rulemaking Advisory Committee, ARAC, to consider new objectives. We've made significant progress on key rulemakings, on flight attendant duty and rest periods. As the chairman mentioned, we published an advance notice of proposed rulemaking yesterday that asks respondents for data to assist us in developing the proposed rule. In a related requirement, in June, we published advisory information to airlines for developing flight attendant fatigue risk management plans. Currently, we're receiving and reviewing these plans from airlines. In June, we also directed the ARAC to evaluate a reauthorization requirement for airlines to install secondary cockpit barriers in new passenger aircraft. The FAA is committed to implementing Congress's mandate for this safety and security enhancement, and we're working with the ARAC to ensure it's done correctly. The FAA is also making good progress on several airport-related requirements, ranging from contract towers and environmental concerns with firefighting agents to streamlining the passenger facility charge program. We're acutely aware of the need to continue balancing the interests of airports, airlines, and other aeronautical users, neighboring communities, and the traveling public, among others. The 2018 Act devoted considerable attention to the FAA's continued work on the integration of UAS into the National Airspace System. Key to this integration will be the ability to remotely identify a UAS and link it to its operator, a capability that is fundamental to the safety and security of UAS operations. A notice of proposed rulemaking on this subject is presently in executive branch clearance. Recognizing the capabilities of commercial UAS operations to carry cargo, Congress required that the FAA update existing regulations to allow for the practice. The FAA and industry have been demonstrating increasingly complex operations in this area as part of the UAS integration pilot program. We're using exemptions and waivers in the interim to meet the intent of the mandate while gaining the experience necessary to change the rules. The commercial space industry is booming, with an increasing number of launches and re-entries every year. Congress, recognizing the growing importance of this industry, required that the FAA stand up an Office of Spaceports within the FAA's Office of Commercial Space Transportation. And I'm pleased to say the Office of Spaceports is up and running and we're actively working with spaceport licensees and stakeholders. In conclusion, I want to assure you that we're fully committed to carrying out the reauthorization provisions as quickly as possible, while making sure we do not sacrifice the substance behind each requirement in a rush to declare completion. Be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.